Look around you. Are you really safe? Are you aware of the dangers that lurk out the open? Your neighbor, your family, your friends, your significant other, the person who just walked by you. What are their intentions? Can you trust them? Human trafficking is a cruel violation of human rights and is a global problem that is often under-recognized. According to the Homeland Security, human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. Taking someone out of their will, forcing them to harsh labor, sexual acts, and doing criminal deeds, both since their adolescence, is essentially modern slavery. How is it possible that so many traffickers and participants get away unscathed? Why is it so difficult to stop this ever-growing issue? An estimated 24.9 million victims are trapped in modern-day slavery. Of these, 16 million were exploited for labor, 4.8 million were sexually exploited, and 4.1 million were exploited in in-state imposed forced labor. 1 in 7 runaways have been human trafficked. California consistently has the highest human trafficking rates in the United States, with 1,507 cases reported in 2019. Since 2007, more than 49,000 cases of human trafficking in the U.S. has been reported to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, which receives an average of 150 calls per day. The clothes we wear, foods we eat, juices we drink, the industries that produce these goods are where slavery and child labor run rampant. Children are more vulnerable than adults. They're easier to control, cheaper, and less likely to demand working conditions, research has explained. Knowing this, how do you feel? We interviewed Mallory Manahan, anti-human trafficking case manager at Operation Safe House, to give us more insight on the issue from her perspective as a human service assistant from a nonprofit youth and crisis organization. Here's what she had to say.
I've been working in this field for about 3 years. When I started working with the anti-human trafficking team, I actually did not have a lot of knowledge on the subject. I was volunteering at a crisis shelter when a job opening came up in the anti-human trafficking department. I started off as a data entry person to assist them with documentation and help them find specific resources per victim, and they ended up needing a lot more help, so I began to take on more tasks with assisting them. Every day, my eyes were open to the bigger reality of what trafficking looks like in our local neighborhoods. I believe the second day on the job was when I really felt the passion to stay in this field and do what I can to help victims going through trafficking. I remember the first file I read was about an 8-year-old being trafficked, and from then on, I knew the importance of victim services was bigger than anyone could comprehend. The sad truth is, human trafficking is the norm in some countries. It's the norm for parents to sell their children. It's up to the law enforcement, the lawyers, and the justice system to set precedences for human traffickers. A lot of the time, law enforcement gets paid off to keep their mouths shut despite pleas for help from the victims. If you ever witness something that you believe is human trafficking, call the National Human Trafficking Hotline or call 911, but do not intervene because you may be putting yourself at risk. Some red flags that many people fail to notice that may be a sign of human trafficking are if you see a younger woman with an older man and she looks uncomfortable, someone's documents have been taken, and in the hospital setting if someone else is speaking for them and won't let them respond.
Let's dive deep into the root of the problem. Why do people do this? Why do people exploit others, take advantage of their vulnerabilities, and take away their human rights? Well, the answer is complicated and involves economic, social, and political factors. Poverty, corruption, family dysfunction, lack of access to education and job opportunities, violence, and harmful social norms like child marriage are all factors that can push individuals into situations of trafficking. It is also the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world and incredibly lucrative. According to the International Labor Organization, human trafficking earns profits of roughly $150 billion a year for traffickers. The following is a breakdown of profits by sector. $99 billion from commercial sexual exploitation, $34 billion in construction, manufacturing, mining, and utilities, $9 billion in agriculture, including forestry and fishing, $8 billion is saved annually by private households that employ domestic workers under conditions of forced labor. Human trafficking is fueled by a demand for cheap labor, services, and for commercial sex. This job requires no prior experience, no resume, and no degree, making it easy for people to take part and easily gain profit. After the trafficked victim is rescued and rehabilitated, most of the time justice will catch up to them and the traffickers who exploited the victims will get caught and sent to prison. But what about the people who participated and paid to rape the victims? The truth is, they are rarely ever charged. About 10,000 children a year suffer the horrors of commercial sexual exploitation in the United States. Each victim on average is forced to have sex more than 5 times a day. Yet the buyers who fuel the human trafficking industry are seldom held accountable. Most simply go back to their families, jobs, and go on with their daily lives as if they haven't just participated in something that will forever change the life of others. And this will continue to happen. No one will come forward and own up to their wrongdoings. No one is willing to take the risk that would ruin their reputation. And this action, this silence will perpetuate the success of this industry. So what can we do about this issue? In order to try and help spread awareness, we looked into possible donation locations on websites and ideas on how to help victims in a safe way. We also talked about volunteer opportunities and organizations like Operation Safe House and Rebirth Homes and what they do in order to help and what we can do to help. We also expressed possible red flags mentioned from our interviews as another way to help. And we also shared ideas on how to help clear the misconceptions and dangers revolving around human trafficking. Even though it can't be completely eradicated, spreading awareness, addressing the misconceptions and red flags, and finding ways to help in our local communities is a huge step forward that we can do to take action. You may see this problem as irrelevant in our everyday lives, but while this may not be a reality for you, this is the reality for many of those around the world. And as our society becomes increasingly interconnected, it is our responsibility as humans to take care of others in need.